Today we're making pasta limone, and this dish clocks in at 572 calories, 20 grams of proteins, 70 grams of carbs, and 23 grams of fat. And this is super simple to make. You don't need a lot. We're going to use some pasta, we're going to use some provolone cheese, some butter, lemons, and water, and salt. But that's basically it. It's super easy to create a very, very creamy sauce from this. So to start off, we're going to bring a pot of water to a boil, and then we're going to measure out some pasta. I'm using spaghettoni here, but any pasta is fine. And for my portion sizes, I usually go for 100 grams. So 100 grams of pasta, and once that's measured out, we're going to be preheating a frying pan. And then we're going to grate 20 grams of provolone cheese. And this is not the easiest cheese to grate. It's not dry enough to be grated in a smooth way, but I think it's easier to actually incorporate this into the sauce if you grate it first. But you can cut it into small pieces if you'd like. Once we have our grated cheese, we're going to be salting our water as we would with cooking any old pasta. And then we're going to get a ladle and add some water to our frying pan, because we're going to be cooking our pasta in our frying pan. And this is just to get the maximum amount of starch into our sauce so we can get a creamy sauce. So it's going to be a little bit difficult in the beginning to get all of the pasta covered with water, but that's going to loosen up fairly quickly. And while that's happening, we can measure out 20 grams of butter, and it's easier to cut that into smaller pieces later on in order to incorporate that easy into our sauce. So just cut that into smaller pieces, and then our pasta should be a little bit more easy to work with. At the end, we want to reduce this water to a very low amount. So if you use a lot of water in the beginning, you're gonna have to be boiling away all of that water. And while our pasta is cooking, we're gonna take the zest from one lemon. We're going to be putting almost all of it into our frying pan, but we're going to save a little bit and save it for topping later on. But to this dish, we're going to be using the zest from one lemon and the juice from one lemon. If you think that sounds a lot, you can always use half of that, so you can go for half a lemon, but I think one lemon is a good amount for me. And also, while our pasta is cooking, I like to take some basil leaves and place them in the microwave. We're gonna go for low power, so 180 watts, and put it on 1 minute, check how they're doing, and then roughly 1 more minute. And after 1 minute, they're still very wet and soggy, so they're gonna need some more time because we want to dry them out. And then we're gonna put them in a sieve and just grate them, so get some nice color on our dish. It's time to add the lemon juice. Just make sure you don't get any seeds into your frying pan. And as I said, if you think 1 lemon sounds too much, you can always use half. But I think 1 is a good amount. And you can see that we're starting to incorporate a lot of starch into our sauce, which is what we want. And now our leaves are very, very dry, which is perfect. So we're gonna save those for plating. And once your pasta is beginning to be cooked, you want to be careful not to add too much water, because as I said in the beginning, we want to remove almost all of that water. So we want a low amount of water when it's basically done. And this is still too much water, so we're gonna cook this a little bit more. And for the stove heat here, I'm on 7 out of 9, so fairly hot. I think this is a good amount. If you tilt your frying pan, you won't get a big pool, and you can see that most of the water actually sticks to the pasta without us adding anything. So this is where I like to take it. We're going to remove it from the heat, and then we're going to add our butter in order to cool it down a bit. And just stir that in. and all we need to do is just stir that in. And once our butter is fully incorporated, we're going to take our provolone cheese and add that as well. And this is actually super simple. All we need to do is just stir this a bit, and we will create a nice, very creamy sauce. And I think this is one of the easiest creamy pastas to make. And that's it. Here we have our nice creamy lemon pasta. And all we need to do then is just do some plating. I like to use the ladle and twirl it, but you can do it however you like. And just make sure you get all of that sauce in there as well. So here we're almost done. All we need to do now is add our lemon zest that we saved earlier, put that on top, and then we're going to take a fine sieve and put our basil leaves in and just push them through, and that's going to create that nice green sprinkle on top. So that's it. I think this is a lovely dish, and I hope you try it, and if you do, I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching.